Hi, my name is Jake Fowler, and for my synthesis project, I decided to do research on Asado. Asado has a rich Argentinian history and cultural significance, which I had to learn about through my research, but as a foodie, I had to try making the dish myself. Unfortunately, it is against the rules of my condo association to own a charcoal grill, which made creating authentic Argentinian asado almost impossible. Thus, instead of creating authentic asado, I present to you college dorm room asado. This is an easy-to-cook meal which replicates a lot of the same flavors as a traditional asado meal while being easy to cook in a college dorm. One part of my cooking that I wanted to be authentic, though, was in the chimichurri sauce, a sauce that is extremely common in asado cookouts. Although I was taking a less traditional route with my barbecuing, I still wanted to make my sauce from scratch. I got all the necessary ingredients to make an authentic chimichurri sauce, and after some research, I was off. I found that chimichurri sauce really isn't a set recipe, but rather a combination of fresh herbs that is unique to almost every chef. With this in mind, and after having a general idea of the ratios of each ingredient, I was off. The base of the chimichurri sauce is mostly cilantro, so I ended up taking a lot of time picking off the leaves from the stems. I was serving 4 people, so as you can see, I was doing it for a very, very long time. The second step was me dicing up the cilantro. This took just as long as separating the leaves from the stems because you really need to get the cilantro into fine little pieces in order to get the most flavor out of your chimichurri sauce. I also went through these same steps in dicing up and separating the parsley leaves, though I didn't add nearly as much as I did with the cilantro. After this, I got to add in herbs and spices, which really made the sauce my own. Unfortunately, the store did not have fresh oregano, so I had to use the dried kind, but here you can see me adding it with my hand in order to make sure that I add just the right amount. I also added in a little bit of red pepper flakes to add a bit of a kick, but I didn't want to go too crazy because some of my friends don't like spicy food. Here's me adding a little bit of garlic salt as well. And the final component of my chimichurri sauce was adding olive oil. I went back and added a little bit more, but I was cautious to not add too much. Finally, I got to the meat. This was the fun part for me. I really like grilling, but unfortunately I couldn't use a grill, so I had to use an electric skillet. This is a clip of me trimming the excess fat from the 2-pound piece of flank steak that I got from the grocery store earlier that day. It's important to trim the fat so the meat cooks well. Here you can also see me adding salt to it, since that's pretty much the only seasoning that goes on before the meat is cooked. Here you can see me adding the first round of salt to the meat, and then I decided to go back for a little bit more because I wanted it. Then I decided that I'd go for a little bit more salt because I wanted some more. And finally, I decided to just go crazy. Now, listen for the sizzle. So here you can see me adding the meat to the electric skillet that I cooked it on, and then I put the top on and closed it for a while. For cooking, I decided to hold true to the low and slow technique that I learned about in all of my readings about asado. Even though I was using an electric skillet, I still wanted to get as close to a traditional experience in cooking asado as I could. This picture is of the meat right after I flipped it, about 25 to 30 minutes in. And I understand that 20 to 30 minutes is nowhere near as long as the meat spends on the grill when it's traditional asado. But the meat was cooking so quickly on the skillet that I really had to flip it. So that's what I did. And here's the moment of truth. I cut right through the center to get one big piece of meat, and it was perfectly pink in the center, just how I wanted it to turn out. And here's a short clip of my final product. We did white rice, Brussels sprouts, and then finally, the steak with the chimichurri sauce on top, which was absolutely delicious. I also had to break out the fine china for this meal. I shared my work with 3 of my friends who live close by, and they were really impressed with how this meal turned out. I will definitely be making this one again.